Good evening.
Hang on. Okay, they're all muted. Want me to unmute everyone?
Yeah.
Good evening.
Good evening. How you doing?
Great.
Good. How you doing, John? Good. Hey, Richard. I was thinking about it tonight about doing some things, explanations about learning to work with mediumship even more and be able to develop your own abilities. So that we touch on that. I don't know how many more people will get on the air here, but we'll see what happens. I'd like to open the prayer. Dear Father God, in all love and librarians, as we walk our pathway of life, and may accept and understand all obstructions before us, may deal with them in the highest and best way. May we be guided by the hand, the sight, and the understanding. Amen. Alrighty. You know, working with the beginning of mediumship, I think all of us have had some experiences where you feel spirit and you recognize their presence, that somebody's around you. You may not recognize who at times, but you certainly can feel the energy. And I feel that each one of you have been feeling energy around yourselves and around your home at times. And those of you who have pets, it's always interesting to watch the pets respond to spirit. And that's how spirit gets our attention, is when the pet is responding to spirit. And then we're like, well, what's wrong with the dog or the cat? And what are they doing? And why? And our awareness then's there to realize that spirit's in the home and around us to guide us in some manner. You know, each one of us have a wonderful ability. It's just that we don't always utilize it, and we don't allow ourselves to trust. And that's something I find that each one of us, and one of the biggest steps I find in mediumship is allowing yourself to reach a point of trust. Of just feeling it and go with it. Some refer to it as a gut feeling. Some refer to it as an emotional feeling. But I really would look at it as a gut feeling. It would be the most explanational. And for us to realize that spirit's always around us, we're never really alone. I had a couple people say to me one time, they said, well, you know, what's it like to be feeling and sensing spirit around you all the time? Isn't it making you a little crazy at times? You don't have your space, you don't have your quietness, you don't have a period of time of you just having your own space. And I said, it would make me crazy if I didn't hear them. Because I look at the energy and how much they help us and guide us in many ways all the time. And we get very caught up in the idea of thinking that we're by ourselves. And in reality, we're really not. And if we allow ourselves to relax with the idea of knowing that they're with us all the time, that makes such a huge difference. You know, I've had some things happen in my life that was quite experiential in a way of them being with me. And, you know, I've had my moments where it's like, okay, guys, what's going on? You know, how's it going to come through? What's there? What's the guidance? And I just really feel it's amazing at times what they can do to gain our attention. You know, each of us have that ability in healing also. And the self-healing by setting the intent and the focus we have on working with that. I know each one of you in your own way meditate, and we have our meditative time, and we sit still and relax and enjoy that and let it build and let it grow. And it's something that we're needing to realize that even though when we're busy and we're consciously busy doing things around us, spirit's always there and available. And I would say it this way, let's practice something and see how well it works for you. When you're feeling things and you sometimes have the thought, well, I'm busy, I'm painting or doing whatever. Doesn't matter what you're doing. Put out the thought and say, is there something I need to know for tomorrow? And practice the idea of projecting ahead the thought of wanting to know something for tomorrow that you would pick up today, you would feel and know, and then tomorrow it's like it comes to you before it happens. And you actually are creating and practicing with spirit to ask them to help you in that manner. Now, it may come through in a very trivial manner in some ways of thinking. You may think of it as something very trivial. Well, I left my keys on the kitchen table before I walk out the door. It could be that simple. But Spirit will gladly work with us and practice with us to become more aware and more in tune to what we're feeling. And there's a need to allow that to happen, and it really makes a huge difference. There's moments before I would go do something, I would send out the thought, all right, am I driving to the place that I'm going to the normal way, or should I drive in a different manner? Should I go a different direction or a different road? I've had it happen where I've driven around things, did not realize what I was driving around, come out at another intersection and realize the traffic was blocked and there had been an accident. And I'd had that many times in my life happen. So let's send out the thought that our old programming consciously of sitting back and going, this is the way I go, and this is when I do it, and that's how I do it. Let's break it up a little bit by sending out the thought, is that the way to do it? In other words, ask for the guidance and put out the intent and energy asking for that direction. And as we ask for the direction, it's going to make a huge difference then where we can allow ourselves to relax and feel guided. If we have that feeling of turning left instead of right, follow it. Don't debate it. And it's something that I find, even going to the store, it's like there's moments I've had the thought go through my mind, go to that Walmart instead of this Walmart. Or I was up in New York State in Lloydale, and instead of driving to Dunkirk to Walmart, we went down to Jamestown. It's like there's a feeling there. Sometimes we have things happen after that to prove to us we were correct and it was a protection for us, and sometimes we're not listening. And that's where I find people are opening up more and becoming more aware of things as time goes on. And we're needing to relax with that practicing. If we allow ourselves to practice, it'll make a big difference. And certainly a meditative time of just being quiet and calm and asking Spirit to come to us in a way that we may understand and sense and know. And whether you term it a gut feeling or not, that Spirit will give us something that will guide us. Another part of that I connect into our mediumship, when we're going to bed at night, we're needing to put out the thought of energy and intent that we're asking to be guided in our dreams, whether it is pertaining to tomorrow or just futuristically thinking, or that we're asking for a certain thing to be resolved. If we put out that intent and thought, it's going to make such a difference for us to have the calmness and peacefulness that we really wanted. I've had many things resolved by following the feeling or feeling the guidance in the dream. And to go through with it in a dream level, I find is more clear at times than what we consciously do, because while our conscious mind is awake and aware, we can muck it up pretty good at times. And it's something that if we just allow ourselves to go with what we're feeling and have it in a dream form, usually it's more clear and it's more direct. And sometimes in a symbol form, but sometimes in reality, we'll dream it exactly the way it'll happen. When I have dreams that I remember, they'll come through in a really clear manner. There's no question. Other times I've had dreams where it's very vague, and sometimes it's so vague that it's like, well, what in the world did that mean? But that's where we're needing to relax with the idea that if we put out the intent and thought, what we're doing is we're creating more clarity of everything we're having come to us and guiding us. We're going to have more clarity, and it's going to get clearer and more clear as time goes on. How many of us has taken time to sit still and say, okay, I'm going to be quiet and let Spirit come through and let them come in a way I understand. But in a sleep state, our conscious mind is already out of the way. And then it can come through in a dream level. I've worked with many classes and even taught many classes, but I find working with our mediumship is the most important, because as we do that and we gain that clarity of what God and Spirit is guiding us in, we then have the calmness come to us also. Not only are we creating calmness so we have connections with Spirit, but we're creating calmness to allow ourselves to relax and take the bad little kid that wants to research everything and wander off into everything in our minds, and allow the more anchored part of us to be more focused and structured on what we're wanting to do and how we're wanting to do it. And I think that is setting the intent. I think that is one of the more important things that people don't think about, is setting the intent and sticking with it. Being there, sticking with it. I don't care if it's 10 minutes every morning just to sit still and be calm. Even if you walk away from it thinking, well, I didn't get anything, nothing came to me that really stood out, that's okay. Because what it does is it brings your vibration to a better level. As time goes on, it keeps extending into a better and calmer level. And pretty soon you start having to have more happen than what you're even used to. The world's going through a lot of changes right now. I know some people like to keep track of the news and what's going on. And you see so many things occurring that I've had a lot of people say, well, they're afraid because what's going to happen in the future, what's going to happen with our government, president, all kinds of things. And we need to recognize that we're the beacon of light. And in what way are we going to be meditating and bringing in that balance and that trust that the higher power has it in hand? And if we can add to that higher power by our thought and energy of harmony and healing, and allow ourselves to work with in that form. And that makes a huge difference for people. And I find also, when we're looking at things as learning, remember, learning through feeling is very powerful. It's not just a book and read a book and what the book says, but what are we feeling? What are we sensing? As we're sitting here tonight and we're doing this face-to-face, the energy I feel from each of you is wonderful, and it's a healing energy, and it's an interest energy. And as we do that, we put out that same intent to spirit. And it's not just being on the air or doing this broadcast right now, but it's the idea of asking spirit to work with us on a daily level. I have a teacher, Dana Bailey, that has always been with me. He took me under his wing when I was about 7.5, 8 years old, and he was a trance medium. He was very, very good at it, and he had a very deep sincerity as to morals and feelings about everything. And it's something that I have followed along in what he guided me in as a child. And he made a comment to me one time. He said, if you're not living it, it isn't yours. And this is where, at times, we have life turmoils and life upsets, be it in family, be it in friendships, be it in work. We're needing to realize that we ask that guidance, and the guidance is already there. They've already figured it out. They've already given us information, but sometimes we're not clear in the sense of understanding it. And to allow ourselves to follow through and understanding it is so important. And I find that when you see turmoil, I look at the turmoil around people, and I immediately think to myself, it's like layers in an onion. It's like you're gradually moving through layers of frustration and upset and wondering what to do or how to do something. And we need to recognize that when we start to feel anger, we build an anger and we build a frustration, and it becomes very destructive to us. Not necessarily everybody else, but it'll become very destructive to us. And to recognize in ourselves that ability to look at the person or the circumstance that we're frustrated with and, in essence, send them love and send them healing and wish them the best and put forth that energy of sincerity from a soul level, and we bring balance to everything that's going on. I've had sometimes happen where you'd view someone as a pretty negative person or a negative circumstance they're in, and if we put out that energy and we're sending out that energy of love and harmony, bringing the best to them and yourself, then you have the harmony, and you'll be amazed how much they're going to really respond in a positive way, in a giving way, and actually be supportive. And that's what I feel you're coming to in yourself, is a balancing of self. Where are we doing this? And I can see all of us understanding doing it more than what we're used to, and certainly more often than what we normally have. How many of us sometimes think of the world as being very separate, and we're very separate from everybody in the world? And in reality, we're very close, and we're not really separate. So it's like you look at all those energies, and the building of that energy is pretty amazing. And the healing energy that occurs when we work with that in that form. I had a circumstance occur one time. A gentleman got very upset with me because I didn't agree with him in a meeting. And as I walked out of the meeting, I held the door for him. And he looked at me very strange, stopped walking, and stood there and looked at me for a moment. And I could feel him being very angry. And I said to him, I said, listen, I said, can I explain to you why I said what I said? And when I got done explaining it to him, he said to me, in other words, I'd be opening a can of worms. And I said, yes. If you'd have had that decision made in that direction, it would open a can of worms and created all kinds of problems. And I said, I would suggest changing it to a different way of doing it. And we actually came up with a nice solving the problem, came up with another way of doing it the next meeting. And we had the next meeting, we both agreed on what to do. And I find that's something that the ones that we look at as more disagreeable, and at times, yes, they are, but at other times we can have a closeness with them and understanding with them that opens the door to communication. And I believe the healing energy occurs immensely. And if we just relax and allow it, we're going to see things change for us, and it's going to work very well. Excuse me. Anyone have any question about it? Please raise your hand. Yes, Richard.
Sometimes I often have the intent to get information from spirit, but sometimes it just, I have trouble getting the information, getting the message. Maybe when you say different forms, maybe that'll help me, but it's certainly not auditory. So it's just a question of how I get messages and what would work best for me.
All right, what I feel working best for you would be the idea that when you feel it like that and you're not sure you have the answer, you're not sure you're feeling the guidance, neutralize yourself again by being very neutral and calm, and put out the intent and thought, please show me in a way that I may understand and feel. Change it from words to feeling. What am I feeling? Because they can bring through the more direct energy in feeling, and it'll make a difference for you then to really pick up on it.
Okay. Yeah, that helps.
And when you do it from feeling, that is the most powerful language we have, is what are we feeling? And it is the language. If we had something frighten us, we're going to react to it. And if we have something we're aware of and we're in tune to in a confident, calm manner, we're going to have the balance there. It's going to be there and be meaningful. I sometimes look at things through, when you're feeling it, it's the most positive and direct language we could possibly feel. If you feel fear, you recognize it. And if we can allow ourselves to relax enough, it's going to come through in a very powerful manner, and we're going to recognize yay or nay in a sense of doing or not doing, or pose a question to spirit, do I do it this way or this way? And you'll have a feeling that'll draw you, and you'll feel magnetism to it to go with it.
Okay.
You have a lot of changes, but I feel spiritually, I think you're doing very well, and I feel very positive, even though we have our human moments where at times things aren't as easy. But I feel an energy there that because you're putting forth that intended energy, you're striving for that higher level, not only in a decision factor, but in what am I feeling to make a decision with? What evidence and feeling do I have as to which way to go with any decision? And I feel by you doing that, you're practicing with spirit immensely on what they can do to help you.
Okay.
And that's really a wonderful energy. I mean, that's great. Anyone else have any question?
Thank you.
Yes.
Jean.
Jean?
Oh, let me unmute. Okay.
Okay, you're unmuted now.
Okay, thank you.
Hi.
Sorry I was late. How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
It's been good. I'm doing well, thanks.
Good.
It's been a really chaotic day, and I'm sorry I was late. Everything that could have happened did this afternoon, trying to get home. And the tough question is how to stay calm so that I can receive these messages better
Yeah.
in the midst of all that.
Well, I find when we have a lot of hectic things happen during the day in a conscious world, driving home, traffic, whatever it may be, I find myself going in reverse, meaning instead of getting wound up, I find myself going slower, easier, calmer, and I've created a deliberateness in doing that. And as you start working with your feelings more in that way, you start creating that deliberate energy. And what's happening is okay. And not look at it as something that, oh my God, I'm way behind and I should have been there by now and it should have been over with by now, or it's all going to be over with by the time I get there.
Right.
And I feel that that makes a huge difference. I've seen it happen where I know spirit can do things with time. It's pretty amazing. I had a person tell me one time, he said, Greg, I was driving him to the airport and he got there late and he was very late and he was really worried about missing the flight. And I said to him, I said, no, we're going to be fine. I said, we'll pull up. I said, I'll let you out the curb. And I said, throw your luggage in where the airport thing is right at the curb. And I said, just walk in. And he was about 3 people from the last one on the plane. And we'd actually started out late and got there on time.
Wow.
And we weren't driving fast. There was all this traffic and craziness. And he called me later and he said, Greg, he goes, do you bend time? He says, did you bend time somehow? He says, I don't know how in the world we got there on time. He says, I looked at it and it was 18 minutes late. And I said, well, other things occurred that delayed them on their levels of what they were doing. And I said, it all fit in that we're there and it's not a problem and not to worry about it. But if we let our mind, our conscious mind, get caught up in becoming really frantic over the idea that, okay, I'm running late or I'm not there yet, then we multiply that energy.
Mm-hmm.
And let's consciously look at that ahead of time before you're upset and recognize that, okay, if that's going to be happening, that's fine. We'll get there when we get there. And that just makes such a huge difference.
Right.
Other question?
That was good for now. Thank you. I was trying to make you start late, but I couldn't do it. Oh gosh.
Yeah, it's all right, dear. Anyone else have a question? Hi, Nancy. Nancy?
Hello.
Hi, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. Where are you calling from?
Ohio,
Okay. What part of Ohio?
Akron area.
All righty. What's your question?
I don't think I have one right now. I'm trying to take all this in.
Well, let me share with you what I feel. I feel you have a very strong energy and you're very determined when you put your mind to something, but sometimes you get so determined that at times it becomes one single track. And it's been hard for you to really balance it out. And would you recognize just recently your tolerance for people got a bit thin?
Yes.
Because I saw you stepping back, and symbol I was seeing was pulling in a bit and like closing some of the energy in and not letting people feel your energy. And I feel that that's good for you to rebuild and regain your energy. But I feel it's also something you're beginning to realize in yourself, that at times you can get drained by other people.
Yes,
And I'm
my
seeing,
sister.
yes. I wasn't going to say that, but I'll put it this way. This has been all your life with her.
Yeah,
This is not a new thing or a recent event. This has been that way. And
yeah,
you're learning to love her where you can, when you can, and how you can, without feeling drained by the circumstances. She loves to set things up, and she sets it up that you fail no matter what. At least
yeah.
her presentation, you fail. And I don't see you failing, and I don't feel you have failed. I think you're doing very well. And would you recognize recently, even though she's a sister, you've been having some thoughts where I'm going to limit how much time I have with her or communicate with her?
Yes, but now she's coming for a visit.
Well, let's say it this way. I'm seeing you loving her where you can, when you can, and how you can. And I'm seeing you bringing balance because I'm going to be busy at times and I'm going to go off and do what I need to do. And not necessarily are you taking her with you to listen to the debate. There doesn't need to be any debate. And spiritually, you're opening up more and becoming more relaxed with the idea that, you know, I love her, but it doesn't mean I have to put up with her negativity.
Yeah,
And would you recognize also one of the conversations you had with her, she got a bit disturbed at you because you were strong enough to end the conversation?
yeah.
Because I felt
I'm trying.
in the past, you would have not ended the conversation, you'd have just let it go on. And now I feel that you're really tapping into ending it and saying, I'm sorry, you know, basically that's it. And I feel that she doesn't know quite what to do with you. And one of the reasons for the visit is she felt like she doesn't have as much attachment or control over things as at times in the past she thinks that she did.
Okay.
That makes sense?
Yes, it does.
Oh, so your left leg been bothering you?
A little bit, yeah.
I get an achiness in the left leg, left knee, calf muscle. I feel like it's been bothering you off and on.
Yeah.
And I felt also recently your left eye's been tearing a bit.
It's been dry, actually.
Well, I get the feeling here, and I kept feeling like tears in my eyes, and I feel, please do something where you're adding, you know, some sort of medication of tears or something here, because the feeling I have here, I feel the need to get it moistened, and I felt the energy of it bothering you, and sometimes you at times been rubbing it, but you're not seeing as good out of it as you should be.
Yes, that's true. I can't read as well.
I want to say, please get this checked. I kept seeing that happening in my eyes, and I felt it, and I just felt the energy there that I want to work on that and get it checked out. I'm also seeing you have an energy too, left-hand side of the body, stomach area or a little bit lower. There's been a little difficulty in the intestinal part of the body,
Yeah, my stomach for sure.
because I keep getting this like upset stomach energy, and then a little bit lower I feel is bothering you, but to the left-hand side it seems to act up, and it does give you, I wouldn't term it pain in the sense of pain, but in a way it is.
Okay.
And I'm seeing you getting back on track, but please don't ignore the symptoms. I feel the need to check things out. And I think it's nothing serious. I'm not saying this to scare you, but I want to say, let's be serious about taking care of your health then.
Okay.
All right?
All right.
Good. God bless you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Hi, John, Susie. You have a question?
No. We're just listening.
Okay. Well, good to see you.
Good to see
Good
you.
to see you.
You know, one of the things I felt around you, John, I feel like you've been having quiet times where whether it's a feeling of dozing off or whether it's just in a meditative manner, you're just getting into that really quiet space. I feel there's times you thought Susie walked into the room or by you, and you've looked and there's nobody.
Yeah.
And that spirit, and they're coming around to help you and work with healing, and they're working with your energy, and they want you to know that they're there for you. It's really quite nice.
Good.
And I'm also seeing an energy too. There's a gentleman in spirit here now. I don't know who this was to you, but he's showing me that when he was in the living, he used to smoke cigarettes or cigars.
Yeah.
And he's very close to you because I smell the smoke. And he said to me, he says, tell him, he says, I'm going to let him know I'm around.
Good.
Well, you know, we smelled cigar smoke when his daughter-in-law was here last week.
Yes.
We were out around the pool and we could smell a cigar, and we even laughed. Oh, it's Buffy.
Yep. He's,
That's
he's
something.
there. And he wanted to come through and let you know he's around.
Hmm.
Well, that solves the mystery.
Well, it's a wonderful energy, and I see him working with you. And I feel, John, you're going to have more happen with spirit. But even though your eyelids will be closed, you may be in a dozing state or a really calm meditative level, and you're going to see the shadow and movement. And you open your eyes and look, and it's like nobody's physically there, but I know Spirit's doing this to say we're with you.
Good.
And I feel your mother's energy, and I see her watching over you too. And she said to me, she didn't like the idea of hanging on as long as she did.
That's right.
Because I feel there was a period of time where she really wasn't able to do what she needed to do and wanted to do. And she loves you and watches over you, and it's a wonderful energy.
Good.
And Susie, I keep seeing you having moments where you do the double take where you're looking, and it's like, you know, what was that? And remember by a window or doorway, you watch them walk by? Remember thinking he was out on the patio and he wasn't on the patio at all?
Yes.
Because I see another gentleman in spirit with you, and as he comes in, he's very close, and he wants you to know that he's there. And I felt real at peace with his energy. He's working with you more.
Good. Well, I
Yeah.
do keep thinking out of the corner of my eye, I see something and there is nothing there.
Well, they're certainly there for you, and I feel love and support there. Now, also, would you recognize you've had some concern for a brother?
Yes.
Because I see him not taking care of himself to the degree that he needs to, and I see him having the attitude at times that, you know, he just sort of pushes it away.
Okay.
That makes sense?
That does not surprise me.
He would be
He would be
that
like
way.
that. Yes.
Well,
Okay.
be aware of the idea that something's coming up with a sister, and his sister's going to comment to you about him, and that she's concerned about him. And I feel between the two of you or three of you, there's going to be a little teamwork here, and I could see you getting him in and getting him looked at.
Good. Well, we will.
And you also had recently, there's another avenue that you've been thinking about that you were considering selling something, but there's another avenue that you found out about that you thought maybe I could advertise in that manner.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because I see a door opening where I can see someone wanting to purchase something from you, and it would be a circumstance to work out well.
Good.
Oh, good.
That's good news.
Good feelings.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good.
Your puppy is seeing spirit. I'm seeing the dog seeing spirit, and I see spirit stopping him in his tracks at times. She'll stop and stand there and stare. And all spirit's appearing to her, and at moments she's not quite sure what to do with it.
Okay. Where is she?
Remember her walking towards the front door and stopping and staring and not moving for a moment?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
because I feel spirits doing that, and that's an energy area there that they're manifesting in, and that they're going to let you know through the dog that they're there.
Oh,
okay.
okay.
Remember her whining a little bit?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
She
Yes.
couldn't figure out what was going on and who was there. She just couldn't figure that out.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, good energy.
Oh, good.
Good energy.
Wonderful.
It sounds like we have lots of spirit energy around us.
Oh, absolutely. They're around you all the time. It's wonderful.
Good.
Wonderful.
Yeah. Good.
Thank you.
You're welcome. God bless you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
We have Lou on here.
No. Oh, I want to go to Amy.
Hi, Amy.
Hi,
Hi, how are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Good. Do you have a question?
I'm just here to learn and take it in and watch, and
All right.
that's it.
Let me say it this way. If you don't mind, I'll pick up a couple things for you.
Okay, go ahead.
One of the first things around you, I want to say strong-willed, very determined, emotionally sensitive. You take things deeply. People don't realize how deeply. You have a memory like an elephant. You hang on to things forever. Once they're in your head, they're there forever. And I feel recently you've actually started stepping back from certain people and feeling like, I don't want to be involved in their energy, because sometimes the energy is felt a bit negative.
Yes.
And would you recognize there's recently what I would term a transition? You're transitioning a lot of energy now, and you're stepping back and realizing that where you were, say, a few years ago in belief and understanding, you're shifting those gears now, and you're opening up the things that before you would have not either been aware of or you'd have been not really trusting of. And now I feel like you're beginning to go with what you're feeling and going with it more, and it's proving out to you that it's working actually very well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you've been noticing recently that at times with family, you certainly love them, but you reach a point with family where basically enough's enough. I don't want to deal with all the negativity and drama they have going. And I feel like recently you've started to step back and realize I don't have the desire to be involved in that anymore.
True. We were just talking about that tonight.
And you normally have been the fix-it person, and they all presented to you what they presented to you so you could fix it. Even though it was theirs to fix, they'd want you fixing it. That makes sense?
Yeah. Yep.
Well,
Yes, definitely.
I feel very good that you're aware of it, and you're now taking steps in a more positive manner to not allow that to take the toll on you that it was. Because there was a period of time that it could exhaust you at times.
Yes. Yes, it's my time to take care of me.
Yes, exactly. And would you recognize the thought of changing an automobile?
Mm-hmm. I'd love a change in an automobile.
Well, I kept seeing in front of you, and I kept seeing decisions about changing the vehicle, and I could see it working for you very well. It's going to come together in a way that you're not expecting. And also, a short time ago, you went through a period of health where your health really did act up for a while. And I feel like you're now regaining some energy and bringing balance back to the body again. You can apply that?
Oh, I hope so.
Well, they're showing me bringing balance back.
Yes, sir.
And I see that making a huge difference for you. You're going to feel much better. Now, you had an experience here a short time ago
Okay.
of having an equilibrium problem bother you.
A little bit, yeah.
Well, I get a feeling of infection or virus in the body, and I feel it affected you for a while. I'm not a doctor, can't prescribe, but I feel a need to be a little aware of that because I feel it's not gone yet.
Okay.
All right. Well, I see you getting back on track and feeling better.
Yes, sir.
Back. I don't know who the female is. But
Okay. Well, good.
I found you with some attitude. It can be negative in the sense of how she approaches things. And I'm seeing learning to step back enough from it to let it be something that affects you.
Okay.
All right?
Yes, sir. Makes sense.
Okay, dear. God bless you. You take care.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Yeah, Teresa.
Hi, Teresa.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. You have a question?
I don't.
You don't have a question, huh?
No question.
Well, you've certainly been analyzing everything.
It's true.
And I feel there's a part of you that reruns things in your mind over and over, and you rethink it in different angles and different ways. And I feel you're very intuitive, but sometimes you get caught up in the analytical and you end up dissecting things analytically instead of following what you're feeling. And you've been finding recently that the world around you, and I'm talking the physical world and people, the world around you has been frustrating you recently, that it's like, why do people have to be so negative? And in some levels, almost like abusive in their attitudes. That makes sense?
Yes.
And I'm seeing you stepping back enough now that I'm not going to allow myself to be drawn in to some of the dramas they get into. And that has worked better.
Yes, that's correct.
Now, you also have someone in spirit around you that's a female. I felt when she passed away, she had a difficult time with cancer. She had a period of time being quite sick. And she loves you a great deal. And I feel with her, one of her favorite flowers was the lilacs. As I'm seeing lilac and I'm smelling lilac, and I see her with you and watching over you all the time.
Okay.
And you've been having some experience where you thought your eyes were bothering you because you've been seeing something at times that you would consider a reflection or what was that movement and the double take of it. And it's like every time you look at it, it's gone. That makes sense?
Yes.
Now, your grandmother's in spirit. And would you recognize grandma having the ability that not that she knew another language really well, but she could speak a little bit of another language?
Yes.
Because she's with you. And I heard her speak in the other language, and then I heard her speak back in English again.
Okay.
And I see her with you and helping you. And she said to me, when you have the worries consciously that you have, she says, please put them in God's hands.
Okay.
Because when you worry, you carry it within you in a very deep way. And she's wanting you to be able to release that and let go of that and not feel like you have to carry it. Very good energy.
Okay.
And you've been having an experience recently. There's been a tire going low on your car.
Yeah.
Rick said to me, you've had a tire going low on your car, and it's been bothering you, and it's like I have to recheck it and make sure there's air in it. True?
Yes.
Well, let's be aware of getting it fixed. Not just put air in it, but let's get it fixed.
Okay.
I'm seeing a leak around the rim. It may sound very simple and it may sound very trivial, but they said they don't want you sitting along the road trying to figure out who's going to come and change it for you. Okay?
Okay.
Any question at all?
No, I don't have any.
Well, you're going to be doing fine there. I see things working out a lot better. You
Okay.
just recently had your elbow bother you. I want you to be thoughtful about doing things where you could slip or bang your elbow. I got pain in my right arm and elbow, and I feel like that's something you need to be a little cautious of.
Okay.
So just keep it in mind.
Okay.
God bless you, dear. You take care.
Thank you. You too.
Laura?
Hi, Laura.
Hang on. Okay.
Hi, Laura.
Hi.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Doing well. You have a question?
I do have a question. Have you noticed, or has anyone noticed in this group, when spirit comes in, kind of like this overwhelming sensation in your stomach? I get it in my stomach. It's almost like you have a gut feeling about something or something's going to happen. And it's just very strong. So I wasn't sure if anyone else felt that or if it was
That's
just
what Spirit's doing to gain your attention and to make sure they have your attention, is to give it to you so strong that it's something you can't question.
okay.
And they're practicing with you to follow through in that feeling. And I want to say, please send out the thought to Spirit. Please come to me in a way that I may understand. And you're getting that gut feeling, and they'll reinforce that, and they'll bring it in strong enough that there's not going to be a question. You'll really feel it.
Okay.
And you've been noticing also there's been an increase. There's been an increase in your ability of feeling things recently.
Correct.
Because I see a big increase coming more and more, and I feel you're going to shock yourself a bit with sometimes just randomly having thoughts go through your mind of what's coming up or what's going to happen, and it happens. I've had it driving down the highway, and I'd feel like, well, that vehicle up there is going to do a left-hand turn without even signaling.
Yes, I've had that happen before.
I feel you're following more of that, and it's a wonderful practicing of allowing yourself to work with it, and it's going to work better yet. And it's developing for you that it's really becoming a part of your daily life. And to bring it back to a statement I made earlier would be the idea that we're living it. It's not just thinking about it or praying about it or putting out that energy, ahead. It's like we're living it. It's there. It's functional and it's working for you.
Correct. And the more I meditate, the stronger and clearer that it gets.
Mm-hmm. And that's right. And it'll work even better yet.
Great.
And you've been finding recently that not immediately, but in the future, there's been some thoughts about not living where you're living.
I honestly haven't, not yet.
If something comes up where you're going to have thoughts later, and I'm not saying this is anything soon, but I could see you having thoughts later of an opportunity to look at the thought of a different residency to live in. But I feel when that happens, it'll shock you a bit, but it'll also be perfect.
Perfect. Thank you for that.
Now, where do you live now?
I'm in Manteno, Illinois.
I feel comfortable being there. I don't feel any problem with being there. I don't feel anything negative at all. I just see becoming more and more in tune. And would you recognize you have some family members, you love them, but they don't understand how you pick up what you pick up?
That is 100% correct.
And there's one male involved there that his attitude at times can actually borderline be sort of negative in the attitude he has.
Correct. I just block his energy or try to block his energy.
Well, I'll put it this way. Just surround him in light and bless him and let it go at that level, because you're wanting to reach out and help him change. And I want to say this is blunt and simple there. Don't worry about it and don't attempt to spend the energy on it, because he doesn't want to be open, because he's a person that wants to be in control.
Okay.
And I feel Spirit's going to take care of that all on their own, and I wouldn't waste your energy on it, because at a later time, I see him figuring out that there's a whole bunch of things in life he's not in control of, like our next breath.
Amen.
And I feel the more you try to correct it and bring balance, the more he resists and fights you, which is draining your energy, because you could be spinning in other directions in a more positive manner.
Correct.
Okay?
Thank you.
Now, he recently had a little fender bender,
Yes.
because I just see a fender bender with him, and I want to say he's headed for another one.
Oh boy. Okay.
He needs to be aware of the idea that I feel the spirit world and God's presence is showing him that he's not as in control as he would portray or want to let on that he is. And I can see another fender bender, because I see him with the attitude that he's in charge and large and in charge. He's in control of everything. And I think he's going to have plenty of little proofs here showing him that he's not.
Thank you. I will take that into consideration.
God bless him, dear. He's not learning things the easy way.
No.
And recently, he banged a finger or a hand where he bruised it or banged it.
I'm not recalling anything, but it's very possible.
Well, don't be surprised here if he comes home one of these times and complains about banging his hand in some form. I don't know if it's like finger in a car door or what, but something about the hand.
Okay.
But I see you doing better and opening up to what you're feeling. How old are the children around you?
I have a stepdaughter who is 7 years old. That's the only child.
Would you recognize she doesn't agree with Dad?
At times.
Well, I'm going to put it simply. I see her more open than he would be.
Okay.
And would you recognize there's things you've been able to share with her that she's begun to take to heart that you're right with what you're feeling?
Yes.
Because I see her opening up more and trusting more than what she used to.
Yes.
So that's coming up that I feel you're going to watch her be a little more open. And I can see you just explaining to her that you don't have to tell Dad about it. Just, utilize it in your own life and your own directions, and it's going to help you. And that'll make a big difference.
Wonderful. Thank you.
And you just recently had a doorknob be a problem in your house where the door handle or doorknob's not working right?
Correct.
Because you have a lady in spirit said to me, tell her to get this thing fixed.
Yeah. All right.
That's an entryway to the home?
Yes, through the garage.
Yes. Because they're showing me that you don't need someone testing it and it open for them. Because
Okay.
it's not really locking correctly.
Okay.
That makes sense?
Yes.
And just recently, there's been a situation with the 7-year-old. She's having a little difficulty in school with some friendships.
Okay.
I see her having a couple friends that are wonderful and really good people. And then I see some friendships that are just manipulating. And if they can get her to do things that she emotionally wouldn't really agree with, but if they can maneuver, they think it's funny to maneuver or manipulate. So I want to say, just be aware of it because I feel like that's going on. And I see her helping her with her inner strength and her inner confidence and a focus energy of going her way, even if they're going the wrong way, she's going to go the right way.
That's true. We always instill to be your own person. So
Yes,
do that.
that's very good. Now, you've been finding recently, not all the time, but every once in a while, you'll have just a short spell of feeling like your balance is out of whack.
Correct.
Because I feel that it just hits you at times. And there's been a couple times you had to get a hold of something because it was like, oh my God, I'm like dizzy.
Yes.
You're going to be doing better. And I'm not a doctor and I cannot prescribe, but I feel like something's going on in your body. And it's something also, lower part of your spine and lower part of the back is acted up.
Yes.
Because I keep getting a little pain there. And I feel sometimes left hip bothers you.
Yes.
Because I keep feeling a little pain in the hip area, and I feel you're going to get straightened around more, but I want to say, please check with someone, whether you do a medical doctor or chiropractor, something's out of alignment,
Okay.
and you get it back in line and you're going to feel better.
Perfect. I think it's scoliosis, but I will go check it out and figure it out.
Please consider checking that out because I feel like there's something out of alignment. It can be adjusted in some manner to put it back in alignment, and you'd certainly feel one heck of a lot better.
Thank you.
Now, this may sound weird, but would you understand when you're walking, you feel like one foot is ahead of the other or one hip is ahead of the other?
I haven't noticed that 100%, but yeah, I can't take note, but I can understand where it's coming from, but I've never really thought of it that way. But
would
yeah.
you recognize you have to correct yourself when you're walking across the parking lot because you have a tendency to go to the right?
Yes.
Because I feel like my left hip, and it may not be this way, but this is the symbol I'm seeing. It's like your left hip is ahead of your right hip, and it's like you do this curvature as you're walking to the right. And I feel that that's the out alignment in the body, and you get the body back in line, and you're going to feel much better.
Perfect. I always walk into people when I walk next to them too, so
Yes,
that makes sense.
that's what I was seeing.
Okay.
I see you doing better with that. But please check it out. I think it's something there that relatively simple, but it's going to help you.
Thank you.
All right.
Have a beautiful night.
God bless you. You take care.
Thank you.
Well, we're just about to the hour. Sorry.
She has a question. I don't know what
Who has a question?
to do.
Jean. Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
I've been listening and I hear meditating helps, but when I have gotten a feeling from spirit, I haven't been able to cultivate that. It's just happened really strongly. And I don't know if there are any around me or if there's anything I could do better to cultivate that, but it just seems to happen when I'm least expecting it or not trying to set it up. I'm trying to develop it more, but I'm not sure how to do that.
Well, let me say it this way. Your ability to feel it is automatically already there. So don't think of it as something that it's not there and you have to somehow create it. It's already there.
Mm-hmm.
But when you have the feeling you have and it comes through so strongly and there's no question about it, I want to say blueprint that energy and that thought and that feeling. It's like take a picture of it in your mind and recreate that energy. And therefore, when you're not feeling like you're in tune and you're wanting to be in tune and you're wanting to bring calmness and harmony, you go back to that recognition of that energy and you bring the balance back in. You recreate that same feeling, and that brings you closer to the attunement that spirit can work with you in.
Mm-hmm.
And as you do that, it'll be amazing how well it'll work, because I feel you've had events happen where they've hit you very strongly and they're absolutely dead on. There was no question.
Right.
And I feel when you have that depth, of you knowing, that's what I want you to tap into. Because remember something, when you're out of the way, and you may not even realize you're out of the way, but when you're out of the way, they step in and give you something.
Right. I mean, I was taken right out of what I was doing by it.
Right. Which is great. And that's what's going to happen more. And I see that really pretty consistent in the future here of you having that happen a lot more.
Good.
And that's going to bring a lot of calmness to you that, okay, when I get the feeling, I recognize it, it's meaningful, and I have accuracy of what I'm picking up, and not just the idea, well, I felt something. Now, what the heck does that mean? Because that's when it really makes you crazy, because you'll feel things, and then it's like, did it mean this? Did it mean that? Does it mean right or left? True?
Right.
But I see that working for you very well. And literally, when you've had it come through so clear, your mind was off on something else completely, and your intent and focus was there. And it left you wide open for them to step in and give you something.
I see.
And I find that there's times I can be driving a car and I can be having two or three different things going on where I know Spirit's bringing me something or guiding me in something.
Mm-hmm.
And we need to just follow what we're feeling in that manner, because you're going to reach a point of realizing that on a conscious basis, you can step aside enough that you're letting that clarity be there on an ongoing level. And not just once in a while it pops in, but it can be there on a functional level every day.
Good.
Good.
I look forward to that.
Good.
Thank
Good.
you.
God bless you.
You too.
The 22nd of May is going to be the next class we have, and that'll be 7 o'clock. And 7 in the evening on the 22nd of May. If you'd like to be involved in being in my newsletter, go to my website, which would be the www.rev, Gregory Kehn, KEHN.com. If you go to the website and sign up for the letter, you'll know everything that's going to be going on and when it will be and what else is going on too. Because presently we're in Florida. We're in the villages in Florida. And the next month, probably within the first week of the next month, we'll be back at Lilydale. And hopefully there's no snow. I've enjoyed working with all of you. I hope you've enjoyed also. And you take care. And God bless y'all. Let's have a good month or week or beginning of spring here. Let's do spring. Let's have a wonderful spring.
Yes.
All right?
Yeah.
God bless you now. Take care.
Thank
Bye.
you too.
You too. Thank you, Greg.
Greg.
You're welcome. God bless you.
Thank you.